What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Getting Laid Off, but at least you're able to watch LeBron James play meaningful basketball. As always, I am your host, Zach Cronin, and today we are going to be talking about and overreacting to the first games of the 2024-2025 NBA season. Tuesday was the opening night of this NBA campaign. There were two games on, Boston versus the Knicks, and then the Lakers versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, which was the nightcap. The Celtics, of course, had the ring ceremony. They got their banner hanged. And we're going to overreact because these sample sizes are so small. You can't make any hard inference off of one game, especially the Celtics Knicks games, because that was an anomaly, I would say. But there are things to look out for throughout the rest of the season. There really are three main takeaways that I saw from what I watched last night. The first being is that the Celtics look like they're going to win 75 games this season. It was an absolute smackdown. They beat the fucking brakes off of the Knicks. It was an almost record-setting performance. They shot like 29 of 60 whatever, 65 from the three-point line, tying the all-time record. A 132 to 109 victory in which Jason Tatum looked spectacular. This is not too dissimilar to what I thought the Celtics would look like this upcoming season. I did a video on them 2 weeks ago where I explained why I believe that they deserve to be the favorites to repeat. To me, they are the best team in the NBA and also the best team in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks, of course, are like second or third, probably second, depending on what Philadelphia looks like. And if Embiid and PG are going to continue to miss games, then yeah, the Knicks are probably second. But I don't put too much stock in this performance from the Knicks. They do have a new team. They are trying to integrate two massive pieces in Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns. And although both of those guys are on paper very easy to integrate, there is still the real world component of it. A large reason why Boston shot so well from the perimeter was the Knicks defensively they did not look engaged at all. There was poor communication, poor maneuvering around screens, and a lot of the threes that they let up were relatively uncontested, and you're not going to be able to compete in games when your defensive effort is that lackluster, which is a little surprising given that this is a Tom Thibodeau coach team, given that they were one of the premier defensive teams in the NBA last season. But again, it's just one game. They were on the road. It was an electric crowd last night with all of the championship celebrations. So I don't think that there is too much worry to be had on either end of the ball. I mean, their offense was fine. They shot 55% from the field yesterday. Jalen Brunson looked terrific. Mikal Bridges, despite his fucked up new jumper, had a very good second half playing inside of the three-point line. And Karl Anthony Towns was really a non-factor, which is also not too surprising given his new placement on this team. Miles McBride was actually one of the probably the second biggest reason as to why this game was not a larger blowout. His shot making, his array of shot making was terrific. This young man has made terrific strides since coming into the NBA. But with that, I want to go ahead and transition to Mikal Bridges because leading up to this game and all throughout the preseason, there was a noticeable difference in his shot. It wasn't a total rework, but it was a sizable rework. They worked on his release point, the fluidity of his motion. This is surprising to me because when you have a guy who is in elite three-point shooter, I mean, for his career, Mikal Bridges is a 38% shooter. He's led the NBA in corner threes made for the last like 5-6 years, I believe. There's really no reason to tweak what's working. I understand you want to have as fundamental a jump shot as possible, but as long as it goes in, it doesn't matter. The whole purpose of the game of basketball is to put the ball in the basket. And however you do that is fine. There are a ton of players throughout NBA history that have unorthodox shots that work. I mean, Steph Curry's shot is a little unorthodox. It's not the picture perfect jump shot that you would teach to a young basketball player. Tyrese Halliburton is another guy. So for all of these hitches, these weird motions that you may have, you're shooting anywhere from 38 to 43% from the perimeter. There's no reason to go in and rework that. I don't know if this was a decision that one of his trainers made. I don't know if this was the decision that someone on the coaching staff made. I don't know if it was the decision that Mikal Bridges himself made. Regardless, whoever is responsible for this, it was an ill-advised decision to make. The overreaction that I want to have is that Mikal Bridges' shot is ruined. I don't foresee that being the case, despite the fact that he shot 11% from three in the preseason, despite the fact that he shot 2 of 7 from three in this game. It's not promising. There is a sizable drop off in efficiency, one that we had not seen from him prior. I do think that at some point he will regain his shooting form. Or his shooting touch. I don't know if it'll be with this one. I think he may revert to his own motion, if for none other than the muscle memory that he's accumulated. A big thing when it comes to working on jump shots is, especially changing a jump shot, is you're working against time, right? The short amount of time until the season starts, but also all of the years that this player had that previous jump shot. Mikal Bridges is an older guy. He's like 28, 29. You are looking at tens of thousands of repetitions with this one form, a form that he has worked to perfect for the length of his NBA career, not just in game, but also all of the practice shots, all of the off-season work, all of the two-a-days, whatever it may be. There is an incalculable amount of shots that this kid or that this man has put up with that shooting form, and to have a revamp like this, it is just ill-advised. Generally, you only rework a player's jump shot when they are somebody like Lonzo Ball, whose form is so busted and his shooting is so ass that there's nothing else to do. Ben Simmons should have had his jump shot reworked, but instead Chris Brickley is posting videos of him making jump shots with the exact same form. If it hasn't worked now, it's not going to work. If it's not broke, don't fix it is an adage for a reason. It's a cliche for a reason. Mikal Bridges' form was fine. Ultimately, it shouldn't have been changed, but I do believe at some point he will return to shooting it to the mid to high 30s. However, all of those games that he is not at that seriously hampers his ability to be impactful with this Knicks team, because they brought him in for defensive purposes, yes, but also for his ability to play off of Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. When the offense is running through them, they're going to find Bridges on cuts. They're going to find Bridges working away from the ball. But more importantly, they're going to find Bridges on catch and shoot opportunities. They're going to find him in the corner. They're going to find him for what is on paper the easiest three to make. And if he's not making those shots, those are wasted possessions. I will say, in the second half, when the offense was running through him and he was getting and he was playing inside the three-point line, he was working off the dribble, he was cutting, he did look significantly better. I'm not worried about his ability to score. I'm worried about his ability to make threes and his ability to score in the way that the Knicks need him. Doing the math here, he missed 6 shots in total in last night's game. 5 of them were threes, and a few of them, especially early on in the game, they were not pretty. There were some ugly misses. To cap off yesterday's 2-game slate, we had a historic meeting between the Lakers and the Timberwolves. It was only historic for the reason of Bronny and LeBron sharing the court together. I don't give a fuck about that. I think it was cool. I think it was nice that the Lakers did that. Ultimately, it doesn't impact the outcome of this game. Bronny played 2 minutes and 41 seconds to close out the first half. He missed 2 of his shots, and he grabbed an offensive rebound. There is nothing sizable to say about that. Bronny is not going to see consistent minutes throughout this year. I think JJ Redick would be silly to do that. Everybody knows that Bronny is not ready to produce at the NBA level right now, and that's okay. The overreaction here is that LeBron is washed. I feel so icky saying that because LeBron had a very quiet performance last night. He shot 7 of 16 from the field, average or scored 16 points, had 5 rebounds, 4 assists. For a regular play, for any guy who is 40, this would be an incredible performance. But this is an underwhelming performance from LeBron James. Of course, he really didn't need to take over. Anthony Davis was on another level yesterday. He looked like a top 5 player. He looked like an MVP candidate, which we know that is a ceiling he is entirely capable of reaching. 36 points, 16 rebounds, 3 blocks. The Lakers didn't need LeBron to put the team on his shoulders. Davis took control of the game. There was no one on Minnesota who could guard him. But even still, it was a competitive game. It was close. I'm hesitant to say that this was a statement game for the Lakers because it's the first game of the season. They beat the Timberwolves, who are a very good team. They're a great team, I would say. But the Wolves are also trying to incorporate some new players. And it's also, again, the first game of the season. I'm not going to go ahead and make a huge assumption about this team off of that game. About Anthony Davis being potentially an MVP candidate, I feel comfortable saying that because he's shown historically he can play at that level. I do think that this is a confidence booster for the Lakers. You got a quality win, and your team, some of the players on your team did not look great. I'm looking at you, D'Angelo Russell, Mr. 1 of 7 from 3. Austin Reeves did not have a particularly good game, and yet they still managed to figure out a way to win. This is a confidence booster. This is a very, very good start for JJ Redick. This is the best case scenario. When it comes to a rookie head coach, there are not high expectations. I experienced something like this as a Nets fan when they hired Steve Nash, also a guy who had minimal experience in NBA organizations. He was a consultant for the Golden State Warriors, but at no point did he work in player development. At no point did he work in the front office. He was just a guy. He was filming TikToks with his children. That's what he was doing as a Warriors consultant. JJ Redick, of course, still stayed close to basketball as a media member, but to make the jump to the NBA as a head coach, as a rookie, as someone who has no previous coaching experience, it is remarkably difficult. Could have easily gotten blown out by 15 or 20, but they didn't. They stayed in the game. They played well. Anthony Davis showed up huge for them. There is still the chance that they make a decent run in not only the regular season, but in the postseason as well, because you cannot write off this team when they have LeBron, when they have AD, and this is also a very solid all-around group. There's also some continuity here. You get Gabe Vincent back as well, which is huge for them. Dalton Connect, I think, is going to be a massive rotational piece, and he looked serviceable. I mean, his first NBA game, shot 2 of 4 from the field, had what, 5 points? Not bad overall. Just a very encouraging win for the Lakers, and I think a very good opening night for the NBA. I'm very excited for this season. There are a lot of things to watch. Just going off of these 4 games and these 4 teams being among the best in the NBA, I don't think us fans will have anything to worry about with this upcoming season. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. Thank you guys so very much for coming to hang out with me today. As always, everything I'm associated with is down in the description box below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Drop a comment as well. It really helps out with the algorithm. If you do any of those 3 things, you will become my new favorite person. And with that, I will see y'all in the next one.